Hello and welcome to the True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North, and I'd like to thank the sponsors of the show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, Anne C. Clark, and our lovely guest who paid to be featured on this episode. Today, I am joined by an incredibly inspiring woman whose work will have an impact on many generations in the future. Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst is a licensed psychologist in Maryland and Washington, D.C., with over 50 years of experience helping individuals, couples, and families heal, grow, and thrive. Her clinical work is rooted in neuroscience, attachment theory, and a deep respect for each person's lived experience. Through secure online therapy, she provides evidence-based care for trauma, anxiety, life transitions, and relational challenges. Sorry about that. Dr. Vanderhorst began her career with children and adolescents, which sparked a lifelong interest in how early experiences shape emotional development and interpersonal patterns. She now works extensively with adults, couples, and families seeking meaningful change. Her best-selling book, Read, Reflect, Respond, The 3 R's of Growth and Change, introduces readers to a practical framework for understanding and transforming personal narratives. Her upcoming title, How Not to F Up Being a Father, is a bold, insightful guide for raising emotionally intelligent boys with empathy and intention. Dr. Vanderhorst's dynamic expertise makes her a compelling voice for keynote engagements, expert panels, and educational workshops that bridge psychology, personal development, and emotional wellness. Welcome to the show, Gloria. I am thrilled to be spending this time with you today.
Megan, I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and you did a lovely introduction. I thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. It was pretty easy to introduce you. So we've got so much to talk about today, but I would really love to start at the beginning of your career and to understand what was that defining moment that led you to pursue your true passion and purpose.
There's a very clear defining moment for me. Some people have clear defining moments that really stand out, and some people get into their professions through some gradual transition. Mine was a shock. And the shock was Calculus 2.
Calculus 2, okay.
Right. I was a math major. I loved math as a kid, as a high schooler, and I wanted to be a math teacher and teach in high school. That was my goal. And I wanted to graduate from college in 3 years, and I wanted to do that with straight A's.
Okay.
It's a real challenge. And so I ran into Calculus 2 in about 2.5 years into this whole process and was completely lost. Everyone in the class was lost. We were trying to help each other learn Calculus 2 because the professor faced the blackboard, wrote with her right hand, erased with her left, and filled the front blackboard, filled the side blackboard, talked to the blackboard.
Wow.
The entire time. And so I had to leave to go home for Christmas. And I was on a bus, and it was getting ready to leave the lot. And I had sent a friend to check her door, her office door, where they post the grades. And the friend comes running across the parking lot, screaming at the top of her voice, "You got a D! You got a D!" And I went, yes! I don't have to repeat Calculus 2. I was so thrilled that I passed. But I immediately, over vacation, switched my major and my minor.
Wow.
My minor was psychology. I took psychology because it was a break from math. It was fun. It was interesting. But what I didn't realize is that calculus is a blessing to me,
Mm.
right? It just put me in the right place, and I've never regretted it. I've never looked back, and I've loved being in psychology ever since then, and still love it.
Yeah, wow. And I wonder if it was, there may have been an unconscious, and I suppose you've explored this, but this unconscious thought of a teacher not even addressing the students. There's got to be
Right,
some type of psychology there that
right. There
if
is.
they turned around and actually looked at you and
Right.
taught
And
you
if
that,
you can't engage the class, there is something deep
yeah.
happening inside of you.
Mm, mm. Wow, how interesting. I
Yes,
love that. I love
fascinating.
that you were so excited that you got a D and you didn't
Yes, I
like.
was. I was absolutely thrilled that I wouldn't have to repeat the class.
I remember when I was studying my business degree, one of the core subjects was statistics, and it was not my thing.
Mhm.
And the first time I tried it, I failed. And so when I redid the course, I think I spent over $1,000 in private tutorial fees, and I think I got 51 or something, and I was like, yes, I've
Yay,
passed and don't need to
it's
worry.
done.
Oh, it's one of those things, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. There are those places in life where we just get redirected, and I'm
Mm,
grateful that mine was so clear. It's
yeah,
not true for everyone. Lots of people experiment. All
yeah,
right, they try this particular job and this particular profession until they land in the place that fits them. It's kind of like trying on clothes, I
yeah,
guess, right?
yeah,
You go from store to store and look at different styles and
yeah,
figure out eventually what fits you and
yeah,
what you like to do.
yeah,
But I have loved being a psychologist and
yeah.
still really enjoy it.
That's amazing. I love that. And so, one of my usual questions is, has your path to pursuing your passion and purpose evolved over time? So, obviously, it has.
It
But
has.
since that defining moment when everything changed for you, what's your latest evolution? What's the work that you're now stepping into?
The work that I'm doing right now is I'm doing a lot of writing. I write a blog.
Mm.
So I publish a blog on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that now for close to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've accumulated a series of them into a book, and then I've just recently accumulated 52 more of them into a second book, so that the goal is for anyone to be able to pick up this journal book and be able to do a deeper dive into their own psyche, into
Mm-hmm.
their own motivations, into their own history. Our brains are marvelous storehouses. I mean,
Mm.
they keep everything. We know, in fact, that your brain keeps information from the last trimester in utero. So think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here you are floating around in this container,
Yeah.
right? And you're hearing
Mm.
things and you're feeling
Mm.
things in terms of vibrations, and those get put into your brain,
Mm.
and your brain holds on to everything.
Mm.
So it's a huge storehouse. The question is, how do we tap into it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we know that you can tap into it with language because we store memories in terms of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get a group of family members together and they're all telling stories, right? And, where was Cousin Ernest? And what did Aunt Sally do at this
Yeah.
particular party? All right. So we store all of this information in language, but we also store it in terms of visual. All right. We have a
Mm-hmm.
huge storage of pictures and movies and images, and we store it kinesthetically in terms of touch, right? In terms
Oh.
of feeling states on our bodies.
Yeah.
And tapping into both the visual and the kinesthetic is a little tougher than tapping into the language because the
Mm.
language is well practiced.
Mm-hmm.
We've been using language since what, two,
Yeah.
let's say, at
Yeah.
least. And so the language is very well practiced,
Mm.
but the kinesthetic is not that well practiced, and the visual is not that well practiced. I'll tell you
Mm.
a little story.
Mm.
A couple years ago, I had some surgery, and so you get general anesthesia. And general anesthesia is a wonderful experiment for what does your brain do, right? And after this particular surgery, my brain showed me reels and reels of college students, and they're announcing their names because I required, when I started teaching a class, that everybody go around the room, announce their name, and give me a fact about
Okay.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that I
Yeah.
could associate the fact with the face
Mm-hmm.
and the name. I could kind of click all those things together.
Mm.
Well, I had no idea that my brain has reels of these things. But because of the anesthesia and having to recover from that afterwards, these reels just started unrolling in my head. So
Wow.
I have real clear evidence. I always believed it, but I have real personal evidence. Your brain stores everything,
Mm.
right? Whether you want it to or not,
Yeah.
it stores everything,
Mm.
which could be good or bad.
Mm.
But it's
And
beautiful.
yeah, and can I ask, when you talked about like the stories and how if you get a group of family members together and everyone talks about, where does the psychology come into it from a often, I've said, oh, and I remember this, and someone said, no, that's not what happened, and someone said, no, I believe that it happened this way. Is that then the perspective of the person at the time?
It
Is it
is the
evolution of
Right.
time as
It is
well?
the perspective of a person at the time. And if you think about it, what gets attached in their brain, right? Every memory that you have gets associated with a previous one, all right? So it's like little stickies,
Sure.
right? It gets stuck to something else. And so we can be in exactly the same place, we think we're experiencing the same thing. But in reality, we are not, all right?
Mm.
Because the thing that will stick in one place for me will not stick in one place for you,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I might remember the conversation if I'm more of an auditory learner. I'll
Mm.
remember the conversation. You might remember the setting and the visuals and what everybody's wearing because you're more of a visual learner, or you might be a kinesthetic learner and remember how is everybody placed in the
Mm.
room, right? And what was their posture and how did they shift at different points in time?
Mm-hmm.
So we tend to seek information based on what's the easiest way for us to store information, and it's one of those three ways.
Mm. So interesting, isn't it? It's fascinating. No
Mm-hmm.
wonder there's so much family conflict at times because you're like,
Right, and
no,
everybody's right. The key is everybody is usually right.
right. I love that. There's a meme that you and I. It's a picture of like two people standing in front of each other, and I'm looking at a 6, but then you're looking at it as a 9, and it's
Uh-huh.
really interesting in the sense of you're right and I'm right. Like
Right, you're both right.
it's perspective that always resonates with me when I'm listening to someone or I'm trying to understand
Mm-hmm.
where they're coming from, because then I think, okay, well, what's your perspective and why do you have that perspective? And
Right,
that has really helped me to understand people because it's not coming from my point of view. I'm trying to
right.
understand where they're coming from.
Right. And the why that you mentioned is really important. That why leads to tell me more, right?
Mm,
Because you see a 6, I see a 9. Oh,
mm,
well, tell me more of what you're actually experiencing. All right. How is this oriented for you? All
Yeah.
right. What is the shape that you're looking at?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that will give you information that leads to clarity that, oh, we are looking at the same thing, but from different orientation.
Yes, so interesting. And with the new book that you're about to release, so when you said that there's practical tools in the book, is that,
Right.
I've noticed that a lot of books are doing that now. Is that because people can, I don't know, are you catering then for the kinesthetic, the visual, and those, the auditory,
That's right.
or?
And the auditory. Right.
Okay.
So I want people to be able to tap into earlier parts of their story. We have memories from infancy. I want you to be able to tap into those. They are in your head, and it's a matter of giving yourself permission to kind of go digging. Kind of think of it as, your storage locker or your attic, and you have to start sorting around and opening boxes and being able to take a look at what's in there. And if the only access you have are words, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. It's kind of like saying the only access I have is my ears, but I don't have my eyes. And so I'll only pick up what I can hear. Well, I want you to pick up what you can experience, all right, in terms of touch and what you can recall in terms of imagery, because imagery is a huge storage locker
Yeah.
in your brain. And we tend to forget that we store things in terms of pictures or that we store them in terms of action.
And so by having in your book things that people can work through, do you find that then, if you sit and just read a book, it's like, oh yeah, I should do that. Whereas then if there's prompts and processes that you can take people through, and or
Right.
people can take themselves through, that people are more inclined to actually take the action because
I think
it's
so.
prompting them to.
Yeah, I think so. When that page is blank, all right, so you read an essay, the facing page is blank. It has a couple of questions that might get you going, but that facing page is blank. It opens up a whole new experience,
Yeah.
right? Oh, look, I don't have to put a word there. All right, I can put a scribble there. I could put a drawing there. And I say to people, you could tear the paper if you want,
Yeah.
right? You'll have to put it back together to read the essay on the other side.
Yeah.
But, right, you can kind of take any action
Yeah.
that occurs to you. And whatever that action is, whether it's a drawing, it's a scribble, it's an intense reaction, it's powerful. Right? It's just giving you access to some piece of your brain that you wouldn't get to if you just use language.
Yeah, okay. Really, yeah, I've really noticed a lot more books containing those sort of things now. So it's really interesting. And I'm a bit, I get really bored with books. If I'll often go to the last chapter and read the last chapter, and then I decide whether I want to read the
The
rest.
beginning and the end.
Or I might just open up a book and read a page and go, that's exactly all I needed, and I'll put it away. I'm not really one to read through, but I'm more inclined to, I love the ones where then I'm being prompted questions, and that type of style.
Right,
So
right.
for me, because I'm a very good at reflecting and sort of trying to understand, why do I think this, or why have I got that idea, or why do I have that belief? I love to
Right,
sort of
right.
dig deep
Where did
and
that come
find.
from?
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's really interesting. I'm going to take this moment to take a break and for us to hear from our sponsors. But
Okay.
when we come back, I'd really love to dive a little bit deeper into the work that you're now doing in relation to raising these young men
Yes,
with
I'd love to talk
the
about that.
empathy and the work that you're doing in that space. So we'll take a quick break. We'll hear from the sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Gloria. welcome back to the show. Gloria, so you've got a new upcoming title. I love this, the how not to F up being a father.
Right, right.
So it's a guide for raising emotionally intelligent boys with empathy and intention. So where does that focus come from? Why has this become a big part of the work that you're doing now?
This actually started my work decades ago. When I started my practice, I had a friend who ran a preschool. And so she referred preschool boys to me. Most preschools are run by females, staffed by females. And so the little boy who has more energy, a little bit more exuberance, can't sit in the circle, will be noticed and called out, and teacher will be curious. Is there something wrong with this boy, right? Why can't he follow the directions and sit in the circle and, respond when I call on him? Why is he so hyper focused on something? So I got a lot of preschool boys referred to my practice. And I will tell you that the best education that you could ever receive is from a preschool boy.
Right.
They are amazing. They showed me so much of what it is like to be a boy and how that is so different from being a little girl.
Okay.
It's dramatically different.
Right.
In the literature, in the research, it adds to that difference by making it clear that boys come into the world with a broader range of emotional expression than girls.
Really?
Yeah, that's a shocker.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It is fascinating. For some reason, genetically, they have a higher range of emotional expression and they have a lower range of emotional expression. I am sure it's adaptive, all right? I am sure it was necessary at some point in time. I can see it being very healthy for a caveman, right? To have that courage, that bravery, to go out and fight, or to get so intensely angry that you tear something from limb to limb in order to survive and feed your family.
Yes.
And so it is true that boys have this broader range of emotional expression, but by and large, infants do the majority of their interaction with adult females.
Okay.
Right? Now, mother or the caretaker does not have that same range. So when the boy gets exuberant, right, goes really high, or gets irritated and goes really low, mother's going to have a natural reaction to that. Right? It doesn't have to be extreme.
Yeah.
It could just be, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a shock
Yeah.
or irritation. And infants are brilliant, right? Their survival mechanism is to read the world around them. I tell people if you want to start a business with someone, find a baby. If you're considering 2 or 3 different candidates to start a business with, find a baby, pass the baby around the room. With the people that are safe and trustworthy, the baby will be relaxed and cooing and making eye contact. When the baby starts to fidget with somebody, they're a little iffy. When the baby cries, the arms of the next one, that person's dangerous. They're not safe.
So interesting.
They're not emotionally safe, so do not start a business with that person.
I could see you doing a workshop of
Right. Business workshop, right? You want to build a business? Let's find a bunch of babies.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so interesting.
Yeah, and so mothers unintentionally, female caretakers unintentionally narrow the range of expression that a boy can make use of,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we put them on their feet, they start to walk.
Yeah.
And as soon as they start to walk, we do this cultural thing of making the difference between what a boy can express and what a girl can express.
Mm.
That's dramatically different,
Yeah.
just dramatically different.
Mm.
I have this personal experience. My daughter, 3, the neighbor's boy, also 3, right? They're playing very nicely, and she takes his favorite toy, won't give it back. He has a legitimate right to complain,
Mm.
exercises his right to complain by getting up and heading towards his parents, and he starts to cry naturally.
Yep.
Right? She's kept his favorite toy.
Mm.
His father whacks him in the chest, lands him on his butt, and tells him, "Stop crying." All right. Now, that is the cultural norm for boys.
Yep.
All right. That is not unusual at all. That is
Mm.
the cultural norm for boys. All right. Don't cry. Dry your tears. Go to any mall or playground. A little girl gets fussy or hurt, runs up to the adult. She'll get picked up, comforted, and asked what's wrong.
Yep.
The boy, same discomfort, runs up to the adult. He will get asked what's wrong,
Yeah.
right? If he gives a good enough answer, he'll get comfort. If he doesn't give a good enough answer, he'll just get turned around. Go back.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with you, right? So we
Yep.
have this dramatically different approach
Yep.
to boys and girls, which continues to narrow the emotional range that we find acceptable for boys.
Mm.
We make that a very narrow range. Boys are not supposed to cry. Boys are not supposed to be interested in the doll corner,
Yep.
right? In the household corner.
Yeah.
Even though the majority of great chefs are males, I don't know how they end up getting there, but they could not play in the kitchen corner
Yeah.
as preschoolers. All right,
Yep.
so we do this shaping of
Mm.
boys that limits and buries their natural capabilities.
Mm.
And that's a real disservice to the male population.
Mm. And when you're saying this, it's really interesting because before I started my own business a few years ago, I worked in the corporate world for a very long time. And in the corporate world in particular, and I don't think it's just here in Australia, it's everywhere across the globe, but there's a lot of criticism from men to women when they're just being emotional. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, as you're saying that, I'm wondering if there's a subconscious almost envy of the men not realizing that actually I wish I could
I
react
wish
like
I
that.
could
All
do
right.
that. Right,
Yeah. But the
right. I
response
think
is,
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
really
And
interesting.
those boys, those men that maintain some sensitivity, you better believe they got teased, they got put down, they got ostracized. And
Mm,
so to those who maintained a range of sensitivity, I say bravo,
mm,
because that was not easy. You had to fight
yeah,
to maintain that aspect of your personality.
yes.
But every male has that capability.
Mm,
We've just socialized them and trained them to
mm,
shut that off.
yeah, yeah.
Not healthy in the long run. I think a lot of the physical problems that bring men to end their life
Mm,
through some kind of disease earlier that women do is really associated with this emotional truth that
mm,
they cannot express their feeling states,
Yeah.
and it gets internalized and turns into something physical.
Yeah, yeah. I also wonder if it's when the men get when the boys grow up to be men, it's the environment that they're into, particularly with their partner. Because I know my husband, he probably cries more than what I do. He's hopeless. In a good way. Sometimes I look at him and be like, "Don't look at me, it's got me," and I'll be like, "I don't want to. If you're crying, I'm going to start crying." But what he says is when he's crying, he looks at me and he says, "But I'm still man of the house."
Right.
And
Mhm.
so it's really interesting in that sense of he acknowledges that he cries, but he
Right.
still
Yeah,
has
the
to say,
socialization is still there.
yeah, it's
There.
really
I'm not
interesting.
supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
When it's a normal, healthy human reaction, all
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
which you should be honoring
Yes.
rather than trying to explain away.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe I need to do a little bit of a mindset shift
A
with him
little
in
bit of education.
that. Exactly. Exactly. So this is really deep work that you're doing with children and families, and you're really changing generations to come. I love this.
Hopefully.
Yes,
Yes, hopefully.
definitely. Yeah. So with all of this work, and I'm sure that with the work that you do, that you see some really awful things and hear some sad things as well. How do you look after and maintain your mental health and well-being while you're doing this work? What are some
That's a
things
great
that you
question.
do? Yep.
That is a great question because I think often therapists do have difficulty keeping those boundaries and maintaining their own, not just mental health, but their own physical and social
Mm-hmm.
health.
Yep.
Right? And so you have to have interests outside of your profession.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have interests outside of your profession, then what's your brain going to do?
Mm,
Right?
yeah.
It's going to replay your profession,
Mm,
right? It's going to get you stuck
yes.
there. So I definitely have interests outside of my profession. I play a little musical instrument that the majority of people would never recognize. It is
Mm,
the female version of a harpsichord called an ottavino. It's a
right.
small desktop harpsichord, and that's been fun
Yes.
to learn and to play. I do watercolors, and I've done watercolors for decades,
Mm-hmm.
still practicing.
Mm.
And historically, I've done sewing and knitting and crocheting. So, I've exposed myself
Mm,
and deepened my interest in other things so that there are outlets. All right. So you might think of it as the therapy world is a pool. And if you don't give it outlets, all right, it's going to get stagnant. It's going to hurt you,
yeah.
right? It's going to suck you in
Yeah.
and drown you eventually. So you have to have other avenues. You have to have outlets that help you
Mm,
to experience the world from different perspectives.
mm, mm. And I would imagine too that if there was if all of those things continued to tick through your brain and you didn't have that outlet, I would think that you would probably two things. You'd become quite obsessed with the work that you're doing because there's
Right?
no other change in your life. But I also would imagine that you'd get quite bored because there's nothing new or fresh that's
There's
coming into
right.
life either.
That's right. That makes good sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, do you? I know that this might be a bit of a woo question for you, a bit too spiritual, but what about
That's right.
grounding? What about grounding? Do you do anything to like ground, like to bring you back to presence or to make sure that you're always present?
Well, I do have a very active spiritual life. Uh,
Excellent.
so that keeps me grounded,
Yes.
uh, healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and also challenged. Right?
Mm,
As you explore spirituality, there are always challenges that you
mm,
run into.
Yes.
So, if you kind of looked at me across the board, it's kind of like a salad, right? I have lots of different pieces, lots of different parts, and they all kind of blend together.
Mm, mm. I love that. That's really beautiful. You're like a really interesting salad that you want to keep exploring.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to say that we want to eat you because that sounds weird.
That would be weird.
And so, if you were talking to someone like a younger version of you, or someone just coming through finishing
Mhm.
their degree and wanting to explore their passion and purpose, what advice would you give them?
Well, I am talking to a couple of people that are in that place.
Okay.
They're also interested in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the one thing that I would hope for anyone that heads in this direction, all right, is that it chooses you.
Mm-hmm.
I did not choose this path,
Mm-hmm.
right? This path chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I can be competent, I can be successful, and I can have opportunity to engage in a variety of other things that keep me healthy, right? But if you choose this because you want to understand yourself in a deeper way, or you have this family history that you want to figure out, if you go into it thinking you're going to make something of it, right, then you're in the wrong profession.
Interesting. And so, why do you say that? Where's that perspective coming from? Tell me more.
Well, it comes from actually experiencing many different people working in psychology or social work,
Mm-hmm.
and also in psychiatry. I used to run a multidisciplinary practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a lot of exposure to a variety of different professionals, right? And as you work with different professional groups and psychological organizations, you get to meet a lot of people who some have come in because they really fit and they belong, and some are there because they're trying to figure out their own problems and their own family, and you just can't do it.
Yeah.
it it'll overwhelm you.
Yes. Yeah. It's a piece of advice I got from someone when I was learning to be a professional speaker. And they said, if you're going to be up on stage and you're going to be sharing a particular story, make sure that you've done all the healing on that story before you start sharing it, because they said you don't want to be having therapy while on stage.
Right.
You can have the emotion with it, but you don't want to be completely losing the plot as you're sharing a
Right.
story that clearly could be traumatic, because the audience is going to be really concerned
Right.
for you
Yeah.
up there. And
So same thing is true for a therapist, right?
yeah,
You don't want to get enmeshed with the person that you are working with because you don't have clarity
yeah,
on yourself.
yes, yeah. And I think that there's a fine line too, because I'm also a theta healer, so I work with the theta brainwave. I help people
Mhm.
to change their belief systems. We're in a theta brainwave between the ages of 2 and 6, as you would know, and it's when we take on all our belief systems.
Right.
I feel like that there's a fine line of. I often find that some things that I'm working on personally, I often then get clients coming to me that need to work on something that's quite similar.
Mhm.
I would never share that with them, but it's
Right.
just interesting that when I'm doing a little bit of work on something particularly, then it's like, oh, this client has come to me and they want to work on that. Isn't that
Right.
interesting?
Yeah,
Because
it's just the universe bringing that person. Yes.
so interesting. And for me, I love it because I'm always one that I want to relate to what someone's going through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
always understand because my perspective is different to yours.
Right.
But I always love to relate, to be able to relate or try to relate to what they're going
Mm-hmm.
through. So for me, I always feel as that is a gift as well, because
It is.
I think,
It
oh,
is.
great, I've just worked through that myself. Now I can
Mhm.
give them or share some advice, or just at least I can relate to what they're working
Yeah,
through.
you have to make that connection for the
Yeah,
person to really trust you,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're leading them towards a healing path for
Mm,
themselves. And
mm.
in order to trust you, you have to have that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this work that you're now doing in relation to the boys and the empathy work and all of that work, how do you hope that that will impact others in the future? Where do you see this work moving through and to?
Well, I hope that it will lead to fathers being first intellectually interested in what does it mean to father my boy, particularly in a way that's different from the way that I was fathered,
Mm-hmm.
and that then it will lead to some healing for the father,
Mm,
and it will lead to new opportunities on an emotional level for the boy, all right,
mm,
that he can maintain access to a broader range of feeling states so that the connections that he makes with friends, with spouses, with coworkers is a connection that's more genuine
mm,
rather than performative.
mm.
Men do a lot of performative connection
Yeah.
and need to be able to be genuinely connected to others.
Mm.
We all need genuine connections.
Yes, yes. And the work, the clients that you're seeing when the men are coming in to do this work with their children, is there a range of, oh, I'm not really sure, or I'm all in, I really want to make a change? Do you find that there's a ranging excitement, or I wouldn't say excitement, don't know whether that's the right word, but
I would say it covers the waterfront, right?
yeah.
So I might be coming because someone recommended it,
Okay.
right? And told me I need to be able
Mm,
to do this. Or it might be coming because I am really genuinely interested, all right,
yes.
and honestly have insight into what I'm missing and what I need. And then the people are all in between
Well,
that
yeah, different
as well.
aspects. Yeah, yeah. Have you
But
got
however you come, you're welcome.
Yes, yes. And that's the biggest step. I
Hmm.
always think that
Really
that's the
is.
biggest step. I often tell my clients that the fact that you've booked in and you've paid for a session, you're halfway there.
Hmm.
You're more than halfway there because you've
Absolutely.
actually taken the action. You've actually signaled to the universe, I actually want to work on this
I
and
want to
claim it.
change. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
Is there a recent moment or client that you can think of that you were, that you did some work with that you were surprised about the result?
Surprised about the result. Hmm. Actually, I don't think that I could say that I have a surprise
Mm,
about the result, all right? Because when I start with someone, it's like I can see the path forward
mm,
and already have a vision of what that end looks like and what the change will bring about for
yeah.
that person.
Mm,
So, very few surprises on my path.
interesting. Um, I love that. I really love that. And so when you're working doing this work, are you working with both, say, the father and the son, or are you working with them separately? Like, how does it work? What's the
Probably
dynamic?
a mixture of that,
Mm,
right? So, definitely working directly with father on educating father, on helping father to re examine his own history, right?
mm,
Because I can only go as far as what I have been shaped, and I need to change my shape in order to go further. So I need to look, the father needs to look at his own history and understand that. And kind of, I tell people, it may look like a brick wall, but it's tissue paper painted with brick, and you can just break right through it, right? It's not a brick wall, it's tissue paper. And father and son together is very important, doing joint sessions with father and son, and having some individual time with son as well, depending upon the age of that person, whether we're really talking about a preschooler, an elementary school, a teen, an adult, repairing relationship with those are incredibly valuable because they then trickle down to the next generation quite easily.
Yeah. And my understanding from a healing perspective is that when we do the work here in this generation, it actually then heals 9 generations before and 9 in ahead.
Great.
So it's so impactful, and I think that, and I'm sure that you've heard I know you touched on it before about how sometimes when we're frustrated with someone, it's like, oh my gosh, they need to do the work, but actually, what's the work that we can do?
Right.
Because the more work we do, then it actually has that ripple effect, right? It's not just family, then it's friends and relationships and all of those
the
things.
frustration is often this little signal that I need to do some work. I need to figure out why this person is frustrating me.
And it's usually because it's a reflection of something that you don't like in yourself.
There's something going on with me that I need to uncover and heal.
Yeah. I'm clairaudient, so I hear both my parents have passed away, and I hear my mum. And often when I do work on myself, my mum constantly thanks me because she said I'm doing the work that she couldn't do while she was here. So it's really lovely to hear that because it's like a validation for me of I'm really pleased I'm doing this work. And then I've got a sister, I've got lots of nieces, I've got lots of great nieces. So I feel like I'm really happy that I'm doing this work for all of them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're doing it for generations.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's really special. And so in what ways do you believe that your personal story can inspire or impact others?
Well, I think the very fact that I not only touch my clients and the people that I work with, but I touch my friends, I touch my family, I touch my neighbors, that, we have influence in ways that we sometimes really don't recognize. Even the casual interaction with someone, right? The store clerk, for example, can have a lasting impact on the other. So we're powerful as human beings, and the way that we interact with others is impactful for them. And it's impactful all the time, not just once in a while. It's impactful all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think is it that people will people will remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said, but how you made them feel.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
That's powerful.
That is so powerful. That's so powerful. And so when do you expect to release your new book?
So the Men and Boys book will not be out till the mid-year.
Okay.
But I do have a second journal book that will be coming out actually in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Be available on Amazon.
Okay, great, excellent. Well, we'll make sure that link is available when the show is aired as well. So yeah, great, fantastic.
Great.
So I told you that the time would go really quickly, and we actually only have a few minutes left.
I can't believe we're at the end of the time.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it, how quickly
it is.
So good, so good. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So, what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
Oh, it is to realize that your brain has packed away everything and you can find it. It's
Yeah.
still accessible to you. So, all those interactions, injuries, things that have put you in a particular direction, shaped you in a particular way, if they're harmful, you can find them, you can
Mm,
access them, you can change them.
I love that. I think that's really beautiful. It's a beautiful way to wrap up our conversation. Gloria,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story and also for the work that you're doing. I feel really grateful that we've had this conversation today, and I'm so excited about your new book and all of this
Yeah.
work that you're doing for the men and the generations to come. So I have no doubt that the audience will feel the same.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
You're very welcome. I'd also like to thank all of my amazing and dedicated audience, supporters, and again to my sponsors. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. And thank you again, Gloria.
You're welcome.